Hey, how's it going? It is Jonathan. Welcome back. So, what is the objective of today? Well, the objective of today and the objective of this video is to go over, I'm going to go over two monthly forecasts that we have produced. And the first one is going to be for October, and the second one is going to be for November 2025. And this is just to show you the power of what true and accurate Gann research can yield you. There's a lot of people out there on the internet who are building these forecast curves. I'm not going to name them, but they are building trading view forecast curves, suggesting to people that they are the mass pressure charts, suggesting to people that they are roadmaps for the future. But actually, all they're doing is building a similarity chart. That's really all it is. And what a similarity chart is basically it takes the current year and it finds a year in the past that this current year is moving towards. That's all it is. And it tries to find the most similar year and then do the projection of that. That's all the similarity chart is. So just be careful when it comes to people who are trying to teach you Gann and they're actually not able to understand the true model or method behind Gann's mass pressure chart creation. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm absolutely perfect at this, but I think I have a working version of it, and that is what I want to go over today and just show you some of the curves that we have produced. Now, I don't only produce mass pressure charts. I make sure that we get mass pressure charts combined with time, combined with Astro, and I try to get all three lined up to generate a directional bias for the month ahead. Now, we don't always get it right. It's going to be some months that we get completely wrong, and there's going to be some months that require some interpretation. However, I would like to say that over a 12-month period, we aim for at least 80% accuracy. Okay, so 80% of the time, we're able to generate a curve that is going to represent the general market pattern, okay, the general market theme for that specific month. So I want to take you over just, and this is part of the this was part of the 2025 forecaster. So 2026 is the one we're moving into now. This is part of 2025, so that's why I'm showing it to you. Okay. So this is the market curve, okay? So it's in this box here. This is just a chart of Optima, and this is the market bias that we put out, okay? So it's done on the 30th September 2025, okay? And the insight, what I had written here was expecting an initial sell-off in the US markets to start the month, followed by a move higher. Planetary Energy's green should be favorable month. So we're looking at planetary energy. We're looking at the directional curve. And then we're also looking at the square of 9 to find support and resistance levels. But I want to go over this month more, expecting initial sell-off in the US markets to start the month, followed by a move higher. And that was basically following the curve, okay? So an expected initial sell-off, followed by the market closing higher. And that was supported by the strong bullish green planetary energy. I know you can't see it on your screen most likely, but just look at this green chart right here, and it's mostly green until towards the end of the month, but it's still heavily green. If I go over here now to the Dow Jones, and we take a look, okay, so let's go back once more just to refresh your mind. This was for October. The trend potential was bullish, and the September 30th was the date that we published it. So September 30th was here, okay? And this is that curve you were looking at. So start the month bearish, and then we get a trend high for the remainder of the month. That was the directional curve that we ran. Now the finer details, again, just looking at the square of 9, we look for our support and resistance levels on that, making sure they're breaking them if we're bullish, but also we're looking for planetary energy. I want to now switch over to the November one, just so I can go over this one, okay? So planetary energy starts the month fairly flat, but gains intensity towards the end. We hit 47,960 and then reverse on the daily, which is significant resistance at the moment. I anticipate the price will trade sideways before closing higher. We can see here that we had on the daily, this is the square of 9 in the bottom right-hand corner, and we had hit 47,960, and we had reversed on that. So I suggested that perhaps we're going to find significant resistance around the 47960 mark, and we're going to struggle to really get above it. We're going to take a look at that. So that is right here. This is around that zone, okay? And we can see that we had actually struggled to get above it for quite some time. Let's go back here. Let's take a look. I anticipate price will trade sideways before closing the month higher. And that is because planetary energy starts the month fairly flat but gains intensity towards the end. The reason why I'm repeating all this is because this comes down to the interpretation of the model. Now, the interpretation of the model can be anything for anyone, and that is why Gann analysis, and that is why astroeconomics essentially is hard for different people to understand. But when we publish this on October 29, 2025, I'm just trying to show you the way of thinking from a forecaster's perspective. So planetary energy right here in this green section is actually quite low. You know, it's just above the zero line. The zero line would be that flat line there. It's not below it, so it's not red, but it's just above it. So we have a supporting bias, but it's not really strong, and it doesn't really get strong until the 20th. After the 20th, we'd then be expecting the market to really show its strength. We can tell that the directional bias is relatively flat for, say, the first 12 days. Okay, so this period here comes out to around the 11th, 12th, before the market breaks the highs. So we'd be expecting at least the first week to be relatively weak. But then we've got weak energy lasting until the 20th. Okay, so we're trying to combine everything. We've also got the square of 9 resistance and support levels. Then we've got our turn dates. Now, before I show you the whole layout of the month, okay, we're going to cover these turn dates quickly because I give these every single month for the market. And this is based on this sun, you know. A lot of people like to comment on the videos and they like to say things like, oh, you're doing it wrong. You got to use the moon. Oh, you don't know what you're doing. You've got the wrong natal chart. Oh, you're doing this wrong. It's actually really frustrating, and I don't want to get really off topic right now, but I don't care, okay? I know what works, and I know what works for me, and I know how to interpret what works. And if you want to learn it, then all you got to do is just be quiet and follow along. That's it. I don't try to force anything down your throat. I don't try to persuade you. I give you the results, and you can see for yourself. Published on the 29th of October 2025, we had 2 turn dates. The first was the 3rd, and the second was the 7th. And this means that markets are going to change trend around these time frames, okay? These are what turn dates are. So we're going to go into the month of November right now, and we're going to take a look. So this one right here, I can't do that, unfortunately. This one right here is the 3rd of November, okay? So it is roughly at the top of the month to begin, okay? So we had 2 trading days closed, then we had the 3rd of November, and the market then ran down. And then what happened is it ran down into the 7th of November. Okay, so there already we have 2 turn dates activated. Now I only generally try to give 5 turn dates a month, which I believe are going to be the most important for the month. There was 2 in here that I left out. Okay, I guess you could say 3 if you really want to get real specific, but 2 major ones I left out. I'm not going to disclose them here, but we're going to go over it. So the market ran higher, okay, and then it ran lower, firstly into the 18th. Okay, so it had a strong move down 18th. Then we had an inside bar on the 19th. Slightly down, I should say. It's not really inside, it's down bar, but we had the close above the prior day's close. Okay, then the next date we were watching was the 22nd. And we also had this energy kick in on the 20th. That's why this cluster here is quite important, and why I excluded some other dates and clustered around here. 18th to 22nd would be an important time period to be watching. We've got 18th, 20th, 22nd, all important time periods before we're expecting a possible rally here. Of course, I don't describe this here because I've only really got in the report a very little bit of space that I can actually write to you in. So I try to convey my idea on what the directional bias is likely to be. And the trend, we know that the trend was not right. However, if we overlay everything else, then things start to make sense. Just a bit of an issue there. I've got it all working now, okay? So the first trend moved down. The second one, we had a movement up into this high. Okay, so I'm just going to go and go up. Then the next trend, we moved down. And then this one here, we can see we kind of moved sideways. We did move down, so we'll mark it as a low. Then we moved into that 21st, 22nd time period. Okay, and then we moved up from there. That would be the interpretation model. The next date of importance was the 31st. And we can see that we don't have the 31st. We have the 28th here being a critical date. And the market moved down before moving up. Now, of course, every single month is going to be unique. Every single month is going to have its own open and closing periods on the chart. But if we can find the turn dates, and we can do the turn dates, a year in advance, 10 years in advance. The turn dates are very easy to calculate if you use the sun. It's not easy to calculate if you use the moon, okay? This is just how it is, okay? So I can give you the turn dates 10 years, 100 years into the future, and they will work on the markets. So that's basically it. So the directional bias was bullish. However, we actually sold off quite hard in the middle of October, which meant that when we got the eventual rally out, we didn't actually cross the old highs. That was the unfortunate thing, but the directional bias was bullish. Okay, that's fine. Can we do this for any other market? And by the way, we're looking for possibly sideways a little bit longer, but we're looking to close out the year. Can we do this for any other market? Yes, we can. We can do it for the NASDAQ. We can do it for anything. Okay. Now we can do it for the NASDAQ for the monthly. Okay. So we can find the trends. We can find the turn dates. It's very easy. And if I zoom out, we can also get the directional trend for the year. Okay. This would be a yearly forecast. Now what this tells us, okay, so what this is likely to tell us is that we're moving higher to begin the year. Okay. So we should be on the bullish side to begin the year. Then we should be bearish. Then we should be bullish until around here. That is what we would be looking for. Then we'd be bearish until around here, bullish to around here, bearish to around here, bullish to around here, and then we'd probably likely sell off for the remainder of the year. That is what the curve suggests. If we look at the actual market data, we can see we're bullish, we're bearish, we're bullish to around here. We did get that. We got a minor sell-off, and then we got another rally higher until we got this a little bit of an inversion or price discrepancy there. Then we ran up higher, then we ran down, and you can just see how the market reacted. Now, if you were to look at this and you were to go, well, you're not really hugging it, you're not really getting that 1-to-1 ratio. Of course, the further we zoom out, the less likely we are to get these curves matching up perfectly. And the reason for that is because of the trajectory or the amount of growth on the NASDAQ, okay, historically versus current. But this is it. This is how we forecast. And we can forecast the daily moves, we can forecast the yearly moves, we can forecast a century out. And that is very, very different to what people do with similarity charts, which people are trying to claim as the golden sphere of Gann analysis. A similarity chart is not Gann analysis, okay? A similarity chart is going to do a much worse for you than a correctly built mass pressure chart. Mass pressure chart is going to give you the pressure points in the future that you should be looking for these possible sell-offs in the market, or if you're not getting a sell-off, a possible congestion in the market. And that's why they're called pressure charts. Okay. So right now, I'm not saying we're guaranteeing it, but right now, if we were to get a, sometimes we're going to go against the trend. But if we're going to get any correction here on the pressure chart, we're likely to move lower than higher, say over the next 10 days. And that would be the pressure chart in action. So in the future, I'm hoping that I can deliver these to you on a monthly basis. It's going to be a new membership tier. It's up to you if you want them or not. It's going to be an expensive tier, okay, so it's not going to be for everyone. But I'm going to deliver to you via video form the likely trend trajectory of the month ahead, okay? If you want to get them all, you can just join the forecast. I've been running the forecaster now for about, I think it's about 7 years. Since 2018, 2019 period, I've been running that service. I started forecasting around 2016. So we're coming up to a decade on forecasting, and I'm going to tell you, there's very few people know how to do this, and there's even more fewer who know how to do it correctly. I'm not saying I can teach you this. This takes a lot of back testing, okay? It takes a lot of historical data to then build the correct curve for the future, but it is oh so different to building just a simple similarity chart. Anyway, for anyone who's in the comments box saying that these videos are boring, I really don't care. Anyone in the comments box saying that I've got it wrong, you produce me something that works better than what I have, and I'll listen to you. Anyone in the comment box who just really wants to just talk down, I know the Gann community is extremely toxic, and for those who are interested in joining, you're more than welcome to join any of the paid tiers. A lot of the stuff from now on, unfortunately, is going to be kept behind paid tiers, and that's just unfortunately the Gann community. Everyone wants to come out thinking that they're the best, but a lot of these people who come out thinking that they've got something better than you actually have 0 videos online, and they're just bad people, you know. It's just simply the way the world works. But I hope that this has intrigued you and given you interest in possibly studying Gann and possibly studying financial astrology a little bit more. There's going to be a lot of people out there that tell you it's not possible. But after doing this for months and months and months, I can tell you that for the general course of the year, we're able to confirm the market bias for the year. Okay, this was the start of the year. Remember when everyone was panicking? Well, what did our curves suggest? Our curve suggests that April is going to be a very sensitive point in the market. Okay, now I didn't disclose this to you back in April when I was doing these reports. It was definitely scary. A lot of people were scared around this point. But these are the curves, and this is what we look at. Signing off.